Welcome back. This is episode 4 of the run up to Sydney Knife Show, making a prototype knife. I've got a little bit of a cold, so forgive me if I've got a bit of a croaky voice. Last week I made a piece for the knife, this little lock bar. So this week I'm going to start on the handles. We'll work on the interior of the handles first, and then see how far we get this weekend, whether we can do the outside of the handles as well. The first thing I need to do is prepare the fixture to hold down the stock that I'll be using for my handles. So I need to drill and tap some holes in there and drill and bore out some alignment pin spots as well. And then preparing some stock, but let's go through it and I'll show you how it goes. The first thing I've done is set up the drill so that I can drill all these holes for tapping. I'm going to run it first with a high offset above the fixture and just double check that it's going to be doing everything in the right spot, and then I'll drill it for real. That went pretty well. I'm going to turn on the coolant so the lines are primed, ready to go, and then run this program again. I'll record the first hole or something, and then we'll move on to the next operation. So that's all the holes drilled for that. I'll drill a couple of extra holes now for the bores that the alignment pins will go in, but that was all pretty successful. That was the holes drilled for these alignment pins along there. The next thing we'll do is get the thread mill and thread mill these smaller holes, and then bore out those to actual size for the pins, and then the fixture will be ready to use. So I'm just testing out the program at the moment to make sure that the thread milling is going to work. There's not going to be any errors or anything like that, but looks pretty good at the moment. So probably just stop that actually and run it as is. That's the first hole done. It's pretty quick per hole, a couple of passes, and then it's good to go. That's the threading operation done. The threads fit really nicely straight away, so no cleaning up or anything after that. That's really good. The next is changing the tool over for a end mill and bore out these holes so that I can fit some of these pins in, and then it'll be ready to prepare the stock for actually trying it out. I've swapped out to a 4mm end mill now, and I've test run the program above the fixture. So let's give it a run now, and we'll watch the first hole being bored. And that's the first one done, so I'll let it run, and I'll come back once it's finished and we'll have a look at what's next steps. That's the boring operation done, and these pins fit in nice and snugly. There's no wiggle room or anything like that. I wanted them removable so that I can place things on and off there nice and easily, so it's not a press fit, it's a clearance fit, and that's really nice. Really happy with how that's come out. So that's the fixture ready. My stock comes in as a blank like that. That's going to get held down like so, but I've got to drill the holes in before I can hold it down. So I'm going to swap over to the vise, and then I'll drill all those holes. So that'll be the next step, preparing the stock ready for giving the fixture a run. I've swapped the fixture out for the vise and mounted my stock. I've just drawn a center line down here so that if you can see on there, I'll get my finger out of the way if it'll focus. If you can see on there the 0 point marked on the vise, so I can just align that with my stock, the center of the stock. I've got my work coordinates set up at the middle of this lang plate, so it's only the Z height that I have to change for drilling this stock. Everything else can stay the same as the fixture. It's one of the really nice things about these 0 point systems. So I'm going to drill a couple of sets of stock while I've got it set up like this, and then I think everything will be ready for testing out on the fixture. And that should be the last one. That will be the stock ready for putting onto the fixture. I'll run a couple more of these, and that way I don't have to keep swapping between the vise and the fixture. Then I'll have some stuff ready to try out. A bit of an update at the end of the day. I started to feel a bit under the weather, so I went off and packed everything up. I've made a few bits of stock ready for making the handles, but decided that that was a good point to call it quits for today, and had a nap. So that's the end of, I guess, today's episode. I've still got tomorrow. Hopefully I'm feeling a little bit better, and I'll have a crack at one of the handles, I think, tomorrow, and see how that goes. Thanks for following along, and if you haven't been watching anything as the series progresses so far, I'll put a link for one of those videos in the end of the video here. Aside from that, thanks for following along, and look forward to more content coming out with this prototype knife as we progress towards Sydney Knife Show.